Hello guys, and welcome to what at first glance looks a little bit like one of my Civilization 5 videos, but is in actual fact Warlock, Master of the Arcane. This is another little 4x strategy that I picked up by Paradox Interactive. It actually came out a little while ago, and I remember when it released, but I really didn't give it the attention that it probably deserved. And I saw it recently pop up on one of Steam's weekly sales, and it was 75% off, so I managed to pick up the base game with all of the DLC and the expansion for £5 which is about, I don't know, $7.50, something like that, $8 maybe. And it's actually a pretty good game. Now, if any of you have played Civ 5 or watched my Civ 5 videos, the first thing you'll notice is it does look very, very similar. To be honest, I think it's built on the same engine, and a lot of the things work in the same way. As you can see, the map is divided up into hexes. We have cities, got very similar resources here. We have gold, the same as we would have in Civ. We have food, which increases our growth. We don't have science as such. Well, we do. We have research points. That's our science. But then instead of construction, we have mana. So there are a few different things in this game, and I want to tell you one of the reasons why I picked this up. There's three things that I noticed about this game that make it majorly different from Civilization, the way it plays. First of all, it's not as in-depth as Civilization 5. It's not as complex as Civilization 5. It's still fun, but the manual is nowhere near as thick. There isn't half as much stuff to learn with this. Secondly, it's much more combat orientated. Even though there are several victory conditions in Warlock Master of the Arcane, most of them do rely on some level of combat. And thirdly, it doesn't take itself nearly as seriously as Civilization, because as you can see, apart from it being all quite sort of vibrant and colourful, as I look around you'll see that I have some really strange looking buildings and constructions around here. And as you can see, we've got castles, we've got Chamber of Spears and Chamber of Arrows, and if we actually look around at some of the things I've got, you can see I've got a mana trap here. Now these guys are bowmen. We have a magic tower. Well, that should give it away. Is that this game, well, if the title didn't give it away for a start, this game is very much based in a might and magic sort of setting. So you'll have lots of sort of human type units, but then there are also 4 factions in this game. In fact, normally there are 3 factions. But because I have the DLC, there are in fact 4 factions. We've got the humans, which is the faction that I'm currently playing as. There is also an undead faction that has things like vampires and that kind of stuff. There is a monsters faction that has things like minotaurs and dragons. And there's also an elf faction, which is actually this city over here, because the way this game works, which is quite cool, if you manage to capture a city that is owned by another faction, then you can actually build that faction's units and that faction's buildings, which is quite cool. So this is another city that I've just set up here. There are a few things that are different. As you can see, the interface is very, very similar. We also have the ability to research magic spells.
My lord, you have opened the research window. Here you can choose a spell to research.
So yeah, we've got this very Sean Connery-esque sounding voice actor doing the tutorials, but this is basically the research window. Now, unlike Civilization 5, it's nowhere near as in-depth. We can't actually see the tech tree, so I'm not sure if there is a way to see the tech tree, and I'm kind of just randomly picking things to research. You can see these little egg timers tell you how many turns it's going to be before a particular item is researched, but research basically gives you spells, and these spells can be cast. Some of them can cast within a turn, some take more than 1 turn to cast. But what you can actually do, like if we've got Summon Imps, for example, Summon Imps has a casting time of 0.8, which means it takes less than a turn, and it costs 35 mana. Well, we have plenty of mana, so if I click Summon Imps, and then click a tile on the map, I just summon myself a little army of imps there. And this is one of the things that makes this game very, very different. The fact that you actually have direct control over certain things on the board. You've got spells that can do damage, you've got spells that can summon minions, you've got spells that can teleport units across the map, you can give them water walking, you can heal, you can raise and lower the land. There's quite a lot of different things you can do, and it's very, very fun to be able to do so. One of the things that is a little bit confusing is to move and make an action on civilization, you have to right click, and on this game it's left click, so it gets a little bit confusing. A lot of the controls you can see, you've got things that are quite similar. You've got like your units list, Hall of Lords and Vault of Artifacts. Now this is something a little bit different. You essentially get these what I would call heroes that come to you every now and then if you wish to hire them, and they are essentially a strong single hero unit that you can equip with various different weapons and artifacts. Some of them you can craft using your spells, some of them you actually find on the battlefield by looting various neutral camps, a bit like the barbarian camps in Civ. You do get neutral creatures and you can loot their camps. So I've got two guys. I've got this guy here called Gash Nine Fingers. He's an orc archer, and I also have Robert de Tremblant, who is a knight of sorts. So if I click on Nine Fingers, you can see him down there. So he is a little orc archer. He's actually a very good shot. He does quite high damage with a magic bow that I found earlier on. Diplomatic relations, again, nowhere near as complex as Civilization 5. This is the character that I'm playing. Now, unlike Civ, where you've got sort of 50-odd civilizations to choose from, as I said, you've got four factions: the humans, the undead, the elves, and the monsters. You basically pick a character, which is more or less just giving you an avatar and a name. And you can actually customize the perks you have. Now, perks and blessings or banes are essentially just like the Civilization unique abilities that you get in Civ 5, but instead of each one being tied to a specific leader, you can actually pick which ones you want to take, and you can also then pick which faction you are. So even though I'm playing a human, I could have picked the undead faction if I wanted. You can see here I'm at war with the Lich King here. This is because he constantly is trying to demand stuff from me, which I don't want to give him. I'm in an alliance with Anna and an alliance with Solda Torvega. And that's myself there. I haven't found anybody else yet. So there's a quick look here that just tells you who you're in an alliance and who you're at war with. If you click on somebody, you have the option to start negotiations with them.
I shall hear your request.
And just like you can basically do in Civilization, you can trade gold, mana, and you can ask for spells or offer spells and trade spells between each other. Nowhere near as complex as the things that you can do in Civ, but like I said, it's a much more simple game. Also, one of the interesting things in this game, which isn't something I've looked in yet, because I've only been playing this game for a few hours. I haven't really given it that deeper look. I've just been kind of messing around and trying to work out what's going on here. You actually have a number of different worlds. Now, when you first start a game, you can choose how many worlds that you have. There are 2 other worlds on this game, and you get to them by going through portals. I actually think that this is one of the portals here, Mystic Portal. So you can actually step through these gates into the other world, and there are various things out there. You also find these neutral buildings as well, like Minotaur Caves. Certain special buildings can be constructed on this resource if it falls within a city's boundaries. I'm going to show you the way that buildings work in a second. Let's just unselect the troll. Let's end the turn and go on to the next one. So you can see we've got some weird beasties wandering around in the seas.
You have successfully researched a new spell, my lord.
So there's the bad Sean Connery impersonator saying that I have done something. Alliance has been broken with Sol. You do find that various things will break the alliance. It seems to happen all the time. Now, I am at war with this guy still. He's got some vampires there. Now, what I have here is a magic tower. Now, these are great. You can actually build these pretty much anywhere within your territory. And much the same way that a city in Civ 5 can fire on an enemy, these magic towers can do the same. So, I can actually take a pot shot at him from here. They do a lot of damage. These are vampires, though. They'll recover quite easily. One thing you will find with this game, as I said, it is more combat orientated, and one of the things that I find is a little bit weird with this game is that units do seem to take a lot longer to... Well, sorry, units actually heal a lot quicker. And so do buildings. So you need much bigger armies in order to be able to do anything. I'm going to move my archers up because he is clearly thinking about doing something nasty there with his vampires. I think they're melee though, so I can fire at them across the river. We also see that he's got some more guys there. Again, we can actually right click on them and it brings up the sort of version of the Civilopedia here. Tells me various details about them, such as the gold, food and mana cost. I can also see any buffs and boons they've got. So they're dead, they're immune to death magic, they've got a 25 life resistance to 25 resistance to life magic, but they can't be healed by life magic. They've got 100, oh no, sorry, 25% isn't a resistance, that's minus 25%. So they actually take damage from life magic, but they've got 100% resistance to elemental magic. They have vampirism, so basically when they do damage they regain health, and they have melee resistance as well. So you see all of this sort of nice little stuff as well as the lore info. So there's quite a lot of interesting stuff there. What I might do as well is bring my orc ranger up, so let's get him up here as well. Now it'll take him a few turns. I could teleport him, but I think my teleport spell costs me a couple of turns to cast. What I am going to do, because we've got two groups of vampires that are quite close together here, I am going to cast my... Not going to cast Shadow Bolt, because that's death magic. If I mouse over it, you can see casting time is 0.8 turns, so I can cast it in a single turn. Costs 55 mana. And it does 24 death magic. Well, we know vampires are immune to death magic. We've just read that. So there's absolutely no point me doing that whatsoever. But Firestorm. Firestorm is a really nice spell. I can actually cast it in a single turn now. So what I'm going to do is Firestorm actually affects the hex it lands on and the 6 surrounding hexes. So if I hit there, it will actually hit those guys and those guys as well. Probably didn't do as much damage as it could have done, but it's one of the nice little spells. We can research something else. So transfer capital allows me to, as it says, transfer my capital from one city to another. Not that great of a thing. Life weapon enchant. Blessing life weapon. All attacks of the target unit inflict additional life magic damage. That might be a useful thing to have if I'm going up against a lot of vampires, because we've just learned that they don't really have a resistance to life magic. In fact, they actually take more damage from it. Sorry about that, not quite sure what happened there. Had to make a little bit of an edit because of a fraps issue. So, as I was saying, you do have various boons and bonuses to your hero that will grant you such things as the ability to cast spells faster. But the spell we just got there was something to do with fertility, wasn't it? Let's have a look. Where is it? It's one of the higher rank spells. Fertile Lands. So it casts in less than a turn, costs 40 mana, and makes any land fertile. Target is the target hex plus the surrounding hexes. So we could make sort of barren lands into fertile lands. I've got one that's a little bit more basic as well, which is Harvest Blessing, which just increases the amount of food that I get in a sort of a target city. Can he move up there? Have we ended turn? No, we haven't. So let's do that. Let us assign a unit orders. Right, we've got a boat here, so let's get the boat moving around. Impassable terrain. So what you can actually see here, this line is actually the edge of the map. So let's carry on having a look around and see what we can find. Again, there are various sort of neutral camps and things around as well, so we'll keep having a look. We'll end the turn, have another. So a unit has finished all of its tasks, which is a caravel and him. Well, he can stay there. We'll get this caravel to... Oh, not enough movement points. It's used all of its movement for this turn. Ah, it's this caravel. This caravel needs to move around. So let's go exploring. Now, just like in Civilization, you do actually... Oh, no, he's now using his little fireball thing on me. And his vampires... Oh, they don't have water walking, they've just mounted. And he's got some creatures here. So, yeah, he's actually giving us quite a hard time at the moment, which isn't something that I'm particularly fond of. So, let's use this tower to fire upon the Oh, they weren't the ones I wanted to fire on. I wanted to hit these guys here. We did get rid of the skeletons, though. What we can do is we can go for another one of those firestorms and hit this hex, which should hit these guys and these guys in the water. Again, like in Civ, guys in the water are fairly weak, and that's going to be the easiest way I have of trying to get rid of them. These guys have taken a pretty big hit. There isn't a lot I can do about that. I still have my heroic archer guy sort of trying to make his way up. What I might do is bring him to here. Yeah, he can't quite get the vamp. Can he get them on this turn? Yes, he can. He can fire a shot or two. Does he do enough damage to take them down? Yes, he does. So embarked units are actually very, very weak. Relatively easy to take down. So that wasn't too bad. Let's keep this guy moving. Now, these guys with the brown symbol, I believe these are the neutral guys, but as you can see, some of them are actually quite nasty. You've got skeleton veterans, you've got bats, you've got that looks like some sort of, yeah, greater fire elemental. I want to be keeping away from that if I can. Who else needs orders? He does, but we're just going to have him sit there. Again, much like Civ, you've got the various options that you can give them, such as sleep. Orders the unit to enter a defensive position until an enemy unit appears nearby, or you can just make him defend on the next turn. So let's just put him in that defensive position for now, because there were some things spawning on this island, so it helps to stop that from happening. And we can get this galleon to move around as well. So it has quite a nice graphic style. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's better than Civ or as good as Civ, but Civ tends to have gone for a very neutral palette with a very realistic sort of art style. Whereas the art style of this game is more, I won't say cartoony, but it's more colourful, it's more vibrant, and it is supposed to be more fantasy, but it works very well. The game does look very, very good. Now, one of the things I'm waiting for is for one of my buildings or one of my cities to actually finish its building, and then I can show you one of the other mechanics this game has. So, he is sending a lot of stuff my way that I am not particularly happy about. I'm going to get the magic tower to fire at these guys here. I'm not even sure what that... Right, that should be enough to take him down, and it is. I'm not even sure what that guy is. Right, okay. That is some sort of fighter lord for a rat prince. Okay, right. Let's see if we can't take down those guys, because they're probably vampires again. So that's another one of his units completely wrecked on this turn. Let's take something like a lesser fireball. As you can see, I'm running out of mana now, which makes spellcasting difficult, but I can still do a fair amount of damage to boats. He's got a minotaur there are ready to come over to me, and as you can see, units heal up actually quite quickly in this game as well. I thought I had some more archers at some point. Maybe I've actually lost them. Now again, much like you could in Civilization, you can go to one of your cities, and as well as building buildings, you can also recruit units, but as well as recruiting the units, you can also purchase them outright as well. And again, you can actually improve and build buildings. They take a certain number of turns to build, and they also take various resources. So what we could probably do is build another magic tower, although we have an insufficient population. So you don't have construction like you do in Civ, so it's not a case of it's going to take X number of turns. A lot of it is very dependent on the amount of population you have. Sometimes you don't have enough population in order to be able to build another building. So for those of you that are familiar with Civilization 5, you'll know that there are two ways you can actually expand your empire and build. First of all, you can actually build buildings within a city that increase the city's production or output in one way or another. They actually give a bonus to the city. They don't take up any space on the map, they literally are contained within the city. The second thing you can do is you can produce workers, and those workers can go out to the hexes that are within your borders and build various upgrades. Well, what they've done in Warlock Master of the Arcane is they've kind of put those two mechanics together. You don't have workers anymore. When you produce upgrades for your city, those upgrades aren't within the city themselves. You actually place them down in the surrounding hexes. Some of them just need an empty space for you to build them. Some of them specifically need to be on a certain type of tile in order to get them. So, for example, excavations, which this is, need to be on ancient ruins. We've got a gold mine here that obviously has to be placed on a gold resource, and so on and so forth. And there are also certain other things you can build. As you can see, these sandy desert tiles have a 20% reduction on food and a 20% increase on mana. So if I was to build a farm on the desert, I'd actually gain 20% less food from it than I would if I built it somewhere else. If I was to build a building here that gave me mana, like a mana testing area, I'd actually get an extra 20% mana because it is built on the desert. So that's kind of the way that works. We're going to keep having a little explore with this caravel. We do have a ranged attack, so let's take some pot shots here if we can. The animations are quite nice, I'll certainly give it that. It all plays out quite nicely. You can also skip animations by left clicking as well. So I'm going to keep these guys here for the time being. Nobody else here is really close enough for me to take a pot shot at the moment. Let's carry on with this guy moving. Just trying to explore some of the map. And what have we got? Yeah, you guys are going to rest. So I can actually tell them to rest, which will mean I can't do anything else with them this turn, but it will just give them a massive boost to their health. So the Lich King's going again. He's using that Fire Blast. Very annoying because he's just managed to do quite a bit of damage to my tower there and take out my imps. Not sure what just sank that. It could have been a neutral creature or some sort of beastie off the edge of the map.
Congratulations! You have successfully researched a new spell, my lord.
So there's the end of a turn. We've successfully researched that life enchant weapon, which could be very useful against vampires. We now have to select a new research. Summon skeletons might be quite nice. It has a casting time of 1. It's only going to take us 1 turn to research it, so let's go for that. Right, order a new building constructed. I can actually show you this mechanic now. So this is actually at this this city here. Now, there are some buildings that require prerequisite buildings in order to build. As you can see, what I have here is I have a farm and I have a magic testing area. You can also see that some buildings you don't actually require to have in the city. You just require to have one of them in your empire. Now, this city is using settlers that I took from the Elf City, which is one of the cities that I conquered. So, as you can see, Chamber of Arrows, there's a tick in the box because I already have a Chamber of Arrows at the other city and I already have a harbour. So what I've got here is I've got 1 farm and I've got 1 magic testing area. So let's go for a granary. Granary will cost me 2 gold per turn for upkeep, but it will give me an extra 50% food and it's required in order to build a mill. And it's going to take 3 turns to build. So I'll click on the granary and then it gives me a list of options on the various different tiles where I can place it. Now, as you can see, forest, forest and plains. Now, if I put it on plains, it will actually give me an extra 20% food production. So we'll pop that down there on the plains and that will take 3 turns for that to build. So let's close the city view. We've had a unit promoted, which is just randomly this galleon. Again, promotions work pretty much the same way that they do in Civ. You just pick whether you want... you get a list, a selection to choose from. So we could give it an extra 30 resistance to missile and melee, or we could give it an extra movement point, or we could give it regeneration +2. Let's give it regeneration +2. Let's have it move around a little bit as well. That's our... well, he's not our ally at the moment, but he's not hostile against us, so that's fine. Our Lord has come. So this is what I was saying about these various different heroes that come to you. So these guys are already hired. This guy has recently come to us and offered his services. Now, what we can actually do is we've only got 9 turns to choose. If we don't hire him within 9 turns, he'll go and we won't be able to hire him. So we can see he's a healer, which might be useful. If we right click, we'll get all of the info about him. So we have a healer. It's going to cost us 150 gold to hire him, and he will have a gold per turn maintenance as well. So I've hired him anyway because I've got plenty of gold. That's not one of the things that I need to worry about here. Enemy at the gate, which we already knew. In fact, we've got quite a few. So let's fire at these things while we can. Now, he's got a healer there, and the healer's not my biggest threat, So what I'm actually going to do, if I don't have enough mana for the big fireball, which is a shame. But lesser fireball only costs me half a turn to cast. So I could actually lesser fireball two things. So lesser fireball that. And we will lesser fireball it again. And then we'll hit it with this guy. And then that's enough to sink it. That boat he lost over there must have been to this sort of... this Kraken. This must have been what sank his boat over there. Getting into a little bit of trouble here now. We'll keep firing on these neutrals. I'm still getting confused between left click and right click. Because it's just because I play so much Civ and they work differently. So this is our healer guy. The new guy that we just got. So let's get him moved over somewhere useful. Haven't used a healer before in this game. Obviously it's going to take him a little while to get there. Recruiting is complete, and there's a change of diplomatic situation among the great mages. So you can see that Anna, who is our ally, has now gone to war with the Lich. Now I'd actually quite like to not be at war with the Lich, because he does declare war quite often. So what I want to do is go, let's make peace. No one would reject such a generous offer. So I can send offer and instantly make peace. It's a little bit easy with that particular hero. He'll now stop attacking me for about 5 or 6 turns. Then he'll start making demands of me. I'll tell him to go stuff himself. And then he will go to war with me again. Because that's what he does. Right, now what you just see there are neutral camps turning up. These are...
The new spell research is complete.
Wild Uncontrolled Undead roam Ardania, which is the name of the land that we're on. To get rid of them, you have to destroy their dens. So that's what all these things are that have just randomly appeared. So they're a little bit like... oh, is he upgraded now? Let's see. Let's give him some resistances. So research is complete. We can summon skeletons. Research a new spell. Lower the lands. I've got raise the lands, which allows you to make flat lands into hills and mountains. So let's go for lower the lands, which will give me the opposite. Enemy at the gates. Now this is one of these neutral camps that's just spawned down here. So let's deal with the neutrals while we can. Wow, these neutrals are actually quite tough, and I'm very, very low on mana at the moment. Now these guys are skeletons. They're immune to death magic, which is a real pain. But they're not immune to fire, so let's give them that right in the face. And hopefully, let's move him away from the skeletons a little bit. Well, from those skeletons there. So these are a little bit like the barbarian camps in Civilization. Except they don't spawn... They don't spawn quietly off the side of the map in the dark areas. They just spawn right in front of you and go, hey, look, here's some units you need to deal with. Which is a bit of a pain.
Fire is ready.
So as you can see, we're not doing a huge amount of damage to these skeletons. I mean, admittedly, they're veterans, but we're doing so little damage and they're regaining so much health per turn. So let's go take this guy down here and give him a little bit of backup. The boats do look nice. I mean, they haven't tried to go much for the proportions. The actual character and unit models in this game look really, really nice. You can also zoom right in and you get a good deal of detail. I mean, the game does look very nice. The art style is very, very good. And you can zoom right out as well, almost, because you don't have that strategic view like you do on Civ, but zooming right out gives you a very good overview of the map. There's another neutral city down there that I did get offered a mission to go and take that out. So one of the other mechanics in this game is there are gods, and you can see the different gods if you go to the diplomatic window. These are the different gods. And whenever each god has a polar opposite. So this god up here, Krolm, is the polar opposite of Grumgog. This god here, Daros, is the polar opposite of Furthus. And every now and then you'll be offered quests. And a quest might be build a specific building, hire a specific unit, kill a specific neutral creep, capture a specific city. And these quests that you get are well worth doing because they usually give you a massive boost to your gold and to your mana and research. And these quests are often offered by gods. And if you start doing quests for these particular gods, you will move closer and closer to that particular god on this sort of circle. So what you can do is, if you keep doing quests for one god, you'll move towards that god. If you then do quests for their opposite, you'll move back away from them towards their opposite. If you actually get all the way over to one god, then the other guy, the opposite, gets so annoyed he will actually summon an avatar that roams the battlefield and does massive damage to anybody it meets. Now, beating the avatar is one of the victory conditions, so again, it's still a very combat orientated victory condition there. And being friends with these gods does actually give you certain benefits and bonuses as well, so it is worth trying to do these quests for the gods, but trying not to get so friendly with one god that the other gods end up attacking you, which is not a good thing. So my healer's still on the move. I'm very tempted to purchase well, I can purchase some hunters from here, so let's purchase some hunters. They're going to be ready in 2 turns, or in fact I don't think we're purchasing, I think we're just we're making them, as it were, and the reason we're doing that is because we're not actually producing anything there, because our population isn't big enough to build another unit. He has nothing to do this turn. I don't know if you can heal buildings, to be honest. Restores some health to a friendly unit. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be able to heal buildings, so we'll leave him there for the time being. Quite happy for him to stay there. We'll end the turn. So he's pulling his troops back a little bit now. And we're all going to have these sort of neutral creeps to deal with. Obviously he's firing out there in the fog of war. Most likely sounds like it's going to be a Kraken. So that unit very stupidly attacked this and got itself killed. Quite a good range on these magic towers as well, by the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my healer to go over here and capture this graveyard, because it says can be looted by any unit. So much the same way as taking a barbarian camp, we've just gained 80 gold. You also have them out in the water as well. These shipwrecks, you can loot those with any sort of naval unit. Going to use my archer here and try and take these ones out. Don't know why it's coming up and saying they're immune. Maybe he has some sort of magic on his bow. Not sure. Maybe he has some sort of buff that's giving him a type of magic that those guys are resistant to. Now, could these actually be healed? They're immune to death magic. No, they don't have anything from spirit magic. I was wondering if you could actually use healing as a method of causing damage to an enemy unit. That'd be quite an interesting thing if it were possible. Maybe it is, who knows? Again, right-clicking, I'm still doing that Civilization 5 thing. So, I should probably get on to the point of why I did this video. As most of you know, I quite like strategy games. I like strategy games a lot, particularly turn-based strategies. And I like things like this and Civ and Endless Space. So, I did pick this up when I saw it. Oh, and it looks like the Lich King's actually helping me out with those guys. That's nice of him. So, what I thought I'd do, I've been playing this game a little bit. I don't really know what I'm doing with it at the moment. I'm still playing through it, trying to learn the ropes and understand the game a little bit more and learn its sort of nuances. But I was interested if you guys might like to see me do a sort of playthrough of it, maybe a game or two. It's very unlikely that I'm going to do it before I finish my game of Civilization. So I'll most likely finish my current Civ 5 game first before I do that. Another 80 gold for that. I'll probably do more games of Civ as time goes on. I'm probably not just going to limit it to doing the one game that I'm on. So we have an offer from Sol de Torvega, and he wants to give us an alliance, and he wants to give us 49 mana. Well, that's fine. I'll accept that. He was the one that broke the alliance last time. It is very good when you do get people that come to you and actually want to help. So we can give him an extra movement, we can give him 25 melee resistance, or we can give him some magic resistance. Let's give him some magic resistance. We've now got our hunters, which are basically just archers, so let's move them out. Now you can see you've got your movement down here. as far as I'm aware, there aren't really any roads or anything like that in this game. A lot of the mechanics do work very similar to Civilization in the fact that you get various terrain penalties for trying to go over hills or through forests and things like that. You can't usually move after attacking because attacking uses up all of your movement. So a lot of the things are very similar, but some of the things are a little bit different as well. So still trying to work that out. A little bit too far away to attack that unit. Let's get a little bit closer. I think it's one of those games where even though it does have some differences, if you know how to play Civilization, you'll pick this game up very, very quickly. But I don't really want to do a let's play on it or anything on it until I know, you know, fairly well what I'm doing. That's bad because I've now got archers being attacked by melee units. So I do intend to carry on and kind of learn what I'm doing before I do anything else, basically. A merchant of rare artifacts has come to my domain. He's offering me this for 315 gold. Death magic and regeneration to a unit. So what I can do is I can buy that, and then if I go to the Hall of Lords, I can actually give this to one of my lords, so I can actually give them a little upgrade in the form of an item. So let's just go over here for the time being. Let's deal with these skeletons because they are going to be an absolute pain if I don't get them sorted out. We've nearly got them sorted out. Now, we only went to peace with King Lich a turn or two ago. And I want you to move somewhere a little bit safer. As you can see, he's built a sort of magic tower there. And he's made a demand. He wants me to give him one of my spells, and he wants me to give him pretty much all of my gold. And I have two choices. I can either accept it or we can go to war. Well, I'm not giving him my stuff, so we'll go to war again. And that's pretty much how this game's been on and off, with him doing that pretty much every turn. That's just what he does. So anyway, I'm going to stop waffling now because this video has been going on for a little while, but I just wanted to show you guys this game because I actually think it's quite novel, it's quite unique, and I quite like it. It does have a couple of little bugs in it. It's by no means a perfect game, but I do think it's very enjoyable. So let me know if you'd actually like to see more of this game, and you know, there's no point telling me you don't, because I might just decide to do it anyway because I want to, but it would be nice to see if anybody actually has a quest failed to build a harbour. It would be nice to see if there is actually any interest in it, and then I can kind of work it around my schedule. It is a game that I intend to play quite a bit more of, and but you know my style. I like to do sort of informative videos, which means that I don't want to sort of jump right into it not really knowing what I'm doing. So here we have the option to build something again. We don't have a Wizard's Guild yet. That could be quite useful. That will allow us to produce mages, magisters, and a magic bazaar in a university. So we'll build a Wizard's Guild. It gives us a couple of different places that we can build it on. Now its production actually gives us 2 magic and 1 research. So if we put it on these desert hills, we'll get an extra 20% magic from its production as well, which will be quite useful to us. Enemy at the gate, of course, which is probably still those skellies. I'm going to try and take them out with the tower, because if I can take them out with the tower, then I can move the archers over there and they can remove that graveyard. So there's a Kraken nest, which is basically a sea-laden camp for beasties, but I don't really have many naval units out there, so let's just leave them out there and let him start picking off this guy's military. He's gone to war with us because, you know, oh, didn't want to do that. I'll just click on this guy. Let's move you to a better position so you are a bit more defensive. Let's move you onto this tower actually, and let's go. Now we have the mana for it for a firestorm. Can't see what units he's got, so let's assume we're going to hit here, which is going to hit his boats. And that's sank that boat and done quite a bit of damage to his Caravellas. He may have had units in those hexes, don't know if he did, but if he did, he's just taken damage to them. Actually got no gold per turn coming in at the moment, we're breaking even, which isn't too good. And we're going to keep the healer here where he is nice and safe. So there you go. That's basically a brief look at Warlock, Master of the Arcane. I'm not sure if it's still on sale on Steam. Like I said, it was on their weekly sales last week and it was 75% off. So if it's gone up to full price, you're looking at, with the expansion and the DLC, which I'd recommend getting, you're looking at £20, which is going to be around about, I don't know, close to $30, something like that. But no, it's not a bad game. It's quite enjoyable. If you like 4X games, if you like grand strategies, and if you find that Civilization is maybe a little bit too complex, or if you want something that's a little bit more combat-based, or even if you just want something that's a little less serious and a little bit more sort of mythical, a little bit might and magic, then this is a very good game to have a look at. But check it out, let me know, send me a message, leave it in the comments if you'd like to see more of this, and it will most likely follow after I finish with current Civilization 5 playthrough. So, until next time, thanks for watching, I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.